In the heart of Virginia, there is a small town called Bedford. In this town, there is a house called Avenel. This house is allegedly haunted. Today, come with me as I explore the history of Avenel and go inside this alleged haunted home.
So I'm currently outside of the historic Avenel House, which is like infamous for hauntings and all kinds of weird occurrences. And they're actually going to let us go in. They're going to let me film. We're right out here right now on the grounds of this historical haunted house. And my whole life I've always wanted to go inside there, and they're going to actually let me go in. So get ready.
The Avenel House was built in 1836. This house functioned as a plantation during the Civil War. The owner was William M. Barwell. He lived here with his wife and his daughters. After his passing, the house was passed down to his eldest daughter. Throughout the years, there have been reports of a woman in white standing on the porch and wailing for her lost husband. The woman has also been reported to be seen through the windows and around the property. Women in white are a very common ghost. These poltergeists are known for wailing for their lost lovers, their children, and other sad events. Could the woman in white of Avenel be William Burwell's long-deceased wife? Or is it some other entity waiting to wail? I'm here in the Old Town Cemetery area. This is where all the, it's much older graves, much more historic, really quite a beautiful cemetery. I'm weird. When I grew up here, I actually spent a lot of time in the cemetery. I'm one of those weird kids who just would like to spend time in cemeteries. I found something haunting about them, but also beautiful. The peace, the quiet. Now here comes the fun part, finding the actual grave. I found a photo of it online, but the actual searching through all these tombstones might take a minute. I know it's by one of the fences at least. I take it back, it wasn't actually all that hard to find. They were actually just right here. So that was lucky and a blessing. William M. Burwell, born November 1809, died March 1888. Francis Burwell died October 30th, 1898, at the age of 89. Wow.
Here at the Avenel House, I got here a little bit early so I could film some exterior shots. And then I saw something really creepy right in front of the walkway. It's a dead cicada. It's like a cat must have attacked it or something. I don't know. I feel like a bad omen or something. Kind of creep myself out a little bit over here. Grounds are absolutely beautiful. I guess before the neighborhood had come up, this used to be all part of the Avenel plantation. According to the historian, she said that this whole town for the most part was part of the plantation back when it was first built. Right now, all I can say is this is some really beautiful scenery. It looks very nice. They did a very nice job keeping a beautiful kind of little park area amongst the city and amongst the little neighborhood. It is kind of creepy to feel the energy here because there's something just kind of off, something creepy. I don't particularly like the way it feels. I am going to the back of the house because there's been like rumors and talk that you can see the woman in white looking through some of these windows. I'm not sure exactly what windows they are. I've never personally seen her, but a lot of people say you can see her looking out the window, so I thought maybe the one's in the back. Not really sure. I thought I saw her at first, not gonna lie, but it was just the curtains. So yeah, I was a little hopeful, but I don't think that was her because it's a curtain. I did go around the front, see if I could get any more images, possibly see her on the porch, because like I said, people say she's always on the wraparound porch or something like that.
I'll start over.
Yeah.
Okay, the family had 4 daughters. The oldest one is Letitia. She went by Letty. And she lived here when she moved in 1838. She was a little toddler, and she was the last one to live in this house. She died in 1906. Her childhood sweetheart died in the Civil War and she never married. Then there was Kate, or Catherine, but she went by Kate. She's the second daughter. She did get married. She married Dr. Bauer. They had one daughter, Lillian. However, Dr. Bauer did the stereotype thing. He ran off with his nurse. When the town found out what he was doing, they ran him out of town. So Kate did come back and lived in the house after her husband was chased out of town. Then the third daughter was Mary Frances, but she went by Fan or Fanny. She was supposed to have been the beauty of the house. All the men in town wanted to be her beau, but the one who won her heart was Captain James Breckinridge, and he was a captain in the Confederate Army. And yes, the name is very popular here still. Its descendants are here. But Fanny, she got married in April, and her husband, a few days after they were married, was shipped off to be with his unit because it was during the Civil War. And after a period of time, she got very depressed, thinking that she's a married woman but no husband, that she decided to go and join them, or join him at his encampment, which was something that was very typical at that time. Families would go to be with their loved ones at the camps. And so she was up there around the Manassas area, and while she was there, she contacted typhoid. She made it back to the house, but she did die in August of 1862. And she's also the one that they refer to as the White Lady, because she's seen in her white gown walking the house looking for her husband. The youngest daughter is Rosa. Her name is Rosalie. She married a Todd from Kentucky, no relation to Mary Todd, Abraham Lincoln's wife. But she did move to Louisville, where she had 3 children, but none of the children got married, not one. And so that whole side of the family is basically it. There's no more. Now, I'm gonna go back to Kate. I told you she had one daughter, Lillian. Lillian married a Campbell, Campbell County. Once again, a prominent family in the area. She had 5 sons. We have the portrait of the youngest one. And he was a captain, or excuse me, he was an officer in World War I. After the war, he came back and became a professor at Notre Dame. He was a professor of architect. And so that family kind of protrude a little bit, but I don't really know anything more about the Campbell side of the family. Lily did have a 6th child. It was a little girl, but mother and child both died in childbirth. The Burrell family, and even though it's spelled Burwell, it is pronounced Burrell. It rhymes with girl. I have to keep saying that in my head. It rhymes with girl, because I want to say Burwell, but it's Burrell. They did have a 5th child, little James, but James unfortunately died when he was 11 months old. And so that's the Burrell family.
They were nice enough to let us walk around the house by ourselves. I'm accompanied today by my cousin Eden, who is also into the paranormal. The house was beautiful, very warm though. I don't believe there's any central air, and it was a summer day when this was filmed. I'm bringing that up now because there are certain rooms that do come across very cold in this house, and I know for a fact there's no central air. This house has beautiful paintings of the family. Throughout this journey, I also try to bring up when there's a scent that changes, because there's definitely a smell, not necessarily bad, but there's definitely something that changes around this house, depending on what room you're in.
Whoa, that's kind of cool. Huh. I think it's just the glare, but come look real quick. There's like, it looks like little orbs almost. Oh. I think it's the glare though, but my camera's never done that, so
I want to film the mirror, but also don't want to just film it.
This was not the first time that I'd entered the Avenel House. When I was a child, we went to a function for New Year's Eve. I was barely 8 years old. Me and my family went, and it was a big group of people that I knew very well. I would walk around the house looking to find my friends, and there was a good hour and a half where I got lost in this house. Everyone I knew was all around. Then all of a sudden, I was just alone in this house. I don't know if I found a back corridor or did I fall into a different dimension. I looked around. I went up the stairs. Nobody was around. It was just me in this house. Then I heard creaking coming from one of the bedrooms. It was absolutely terrifying. I stood there shaking, scared that it was a ghost. I slowly opened the door to hear where the creaking was coming from. And it was just two of my friends jumping on the bed. The historical bed. Then after that, I saw everyone back. They were all in the house. They'd been there the whole time. I don't know where I ended up.
The historian told us about a lesser known ghost of Avenel. Everyone in town knows of the woman in white, but nobody really talks about the ghost cat. I guess the family had a cat that was very well known around the farm. This cat can now be seen playing on the front yard, playing with mice, running around, chasing after string, things like that. People have said many times there seems to be some sort of ghost like cat, an apparition, maybe like a glowing. This cat is not necessarily a real cat. I mean, of course, it could be, but a lot of people speculate that it is the ghost of the residential cat, which got me thinking. When we first started this adventure, there was that dead cicada sitting right in front of the house, kind of like it had been attacked by maybe a cat. Talk of the ghost cat made me start thinking more about the woman in white. I wanted to do a little bit more research on what causes a woman in white to exist when it comes to the supernatural. I started doing a little bit of research. It is believed that most of the time when you see a woman in white, she died tragically, and now she haunts one specific location. Sometimes location is the place she died, or some place that was very important to her. This makes a lot of sense from what we learned about the woman who lived in this home. She did die a very tragic early death, and this was her home. Also, this is where she passed. It also sometimes can be caused by losing a loved one, such as maybe someone you love went off to war. A woman will, when she dies, will become a woman in white, constantly mourning and seeking after that person that she has lost or has gone missing. These types of ghosts are known to haunt rural places, especially, which makes sense because this is very much part of rural Virginia. They are always known to be seen in their normal white garb. That could be a sign of their wedding dress, which we did know, or we did find out that the ghost of this house was buried in her actual wedding dress. A lot of the times, other lore has gone to say that women in white are mothers who have lost a child. They will go outside to wail for their child, hoping they come home, not knowing that their child is already gone. This can be very common why you will hear about a lot of wailing women when it comes to women. The biggest thing we know about women in white is that it always is tied to tragedy. These are women who died way too soon in a terrible situation. Knowing this gives us some insight to what we found out about the Avenel ghost. Found out that she did pass away very unexpectedly due to a very sad, very terrible disease. And it makes sense that she would continue to haunt her place where she grew up, the place where she felt safe. She would continue to haunt here. Also, this was the last place she was alive. This is a very interesting insight into her. A lot of people are afraid of the woman in white, but I think this is a bit disrespectful. We shouldn't be afraid of ghosts or poltergeists or anything from the spirit realm. They most likely are being misunderstood. I think, especially when it comes to somebody who was once living, we should always give them a benefit of the doubt. Definitely check in. I have feel personally from experiences with the Avenel so far, I don't think she's something that we need to be worried about. She seems like a very kind spirit, and I wasn't really getting malevolent vibes. I personally practice a lot of magic and things with the supernatural, and I feel like I have a pretty good sense on this. I was never felt like I was in danger at the Avenel house. I never felt like I should be worried. I've had some other experiences in the past that I will share with you soon, where I did feel very safe at this house or near this house. A lot of other people might not have felt this way, but I definitely did. So I don't think that this was a malevolent woman in white. Yes, it might be scary to see someone who's passed on or who is dead, but that is just what we don't know. Not knowing something doesn't necessarily mean it has to be evil or scary. Sometimes it's just the unknown itself that does frighten us. Also, seeing somebody who was there one day and is now gone is a bit startling. But that doesn't mean we should be afraid of this woman in white. I don't personally think that there's something wrong with her or anything scary at all. After doing more of my research, I think there could be a lot to learn from women in white. These are women who loved very fiercely and they continue to love even as they passed on. This isn't something to be worried about. This is something we should almost strive to, that we could all care and love so much. If anything, it's almost beautiful that they can hold on to that love even after they do pass on. After the constraints of the physical realm leave them, they still focus on that love and they hold on to those beautiful intentions even as they continue on to their afterlife and move forward. Are they evil? I don't think so, but that's just me. Either way, that was my little bit of research I did on the women in white and what they are about.
One of the women who, like one of the daughters, she died here of
Yeah, of typhoid.
typhoid. Wow, it's like a double way staircase.
Yeah, that's.
Not you one of those like ooky booky people, but you feel a shift in the energy when you walk in here. It's like it feels like calmer and cooler almost.
Of course, I'm wondering if that's just me
Yeah.
hyping it up in my brain, but.
But no, like we walked through the door, it did kind of feel like there was like almost like an air conditioning or something on, or a little more. Can you smell that? It smells like museums and like you smell the smell? Feel like old time, like almost like cannon fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has that burnt summery kind of smell like of like the heat and the fires and stuff. Which makes sense, there's a fireplace here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful room.
It is. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels so different as soon as you walk out of the room. It's crazy. I love that there's a window in the house, like an indoor window.
Yeah.
I love that. I've always been a fan of indoor windows. What? Yeah. Wow. The old flooring creaks. If I fall through the floor, I will not be haunting here. I'll be haunting somewhere else. Right now, we're actually in the room of the woman of white. So, this woman, Fanny, she passed away in this very room of typhoid, and she had contracted it from when she went to visit her husband on the front lines during the Civil War. And she contracted it from water that had gone bad. And she died in this very room, mourning her husband. Like, she mourned her marriage, mourned the life she never had. And so she died, and they buried her in white, the same dress she was married in. And so people have seen her in this dress. And so we're in the very room right now, and it was kind of interesting because the rest of the house feels very much like an old house. Mm-hmm. Nothing too crazy, just, you know...
I mean, historic,
but just a normal old house.
Old house.
But then we walked in this room, and the room had a complete energy shift. Everything switched. It felt almost like there was, like, not like, it was like almost like not a draft, but it just felt cooler, less stuffy, almost more air in the room.
I would say less stuffy.
Yeah.
That's a big...
Yeah. You could almost breathe better in here.
Yeah.
We have an app that lets you check what's going on, like meters and stuff like that. And like it tells you like I can't remember the exact like letters for it, but it's like for ghost stuff. And it normally the rest of the house has been at a 1, maybe a 5. But when we were in this one spot of the room, there's a table right in the middle of the room. And at the corner, it keeps reading at a 10 or a 20. And so that was like the highest we've got so far.
Mm-hmm. It kind of jumped for maybe a split second at some of the other parts, like in Robert E. Lee's room.
Yeah.
But here it seemed a little more consistent.
Mm-hmm. And we have the Ghost Box app. And that app it uses radio signals to let you hear what ghosts might be trying to say. We didn't really get anything. It was all static. But when we went to this corner, the static kind of almost turned down a little and like quieted itself. So we do think that this part of the room had some sort of like spiritual energy or some sort of event going on in it.
And I'm a lot more skeptical of these type things. I'm not saying anything when I say anything I say, but I definitely feel, that energy shift, and I noticed that small lapse in the static, which seems pretty consistent other places that we were holding it up to.
Yeah. So right across from her room, there's another room which was actually dedicated to Robert E. Lee. This room was the room he stayed at when he visited the plantation, because during the Civil War, his house was confiscated and he would stay at different plantations across the South. And this is actually the room that his family was, privy to stay in, and this was their room that they kept while they stayed in this house. Very interesting, very old room, very historic. We've not seen any ghosts yet or anything creepy yet, but we're hoping. Eden's taking a bunch of photos. We're going to go look through them later, and hopefully we'll see something. There are all kinds of different things. There's women in white. There are Union soldiers, Southern soldiers. There are even a ghost cat, so we might see a cat, hopefully.
I think it's also important to note that it's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's broad daylight. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but,
Yeah.
take with that what you will.
Yes, it is quite early. I don't know why I scheduled for this early. My inner director came out and I needed to have good lighting. But needless to say, we've had some interesting encounters so far, like energy-wise, like the air is different. And it's cool that we're able to actually go through this house and actually look at it, not just from the outside. Because I've been, trying to visit this house since I was a little kid. So that's what's going on here live from the Avenel House. Right now we are standing at the actual main window. The main window in front of the house, where there have been sightings of the cat and the woman in white. And you can look over the whole neighborhood and see everything.
Sadly, on this excursion to the Avenel House, we did not have a sighting of the woman in white or a ghost cat. We learned a lot, but we did not actually get any photographic proof. All we have are what it felt like, what it smelled like, and a few stories from history. But I do have a personal story about my own experience from the Avenel House.
This is the story about how ghosts tried to save my life. Well, I guess I'm saved, so I'm fine. Huh? Okay, so a few years back, me and my best friend, we decided to go out for a walk in our small town. It started off it was summer. It started off at 7, but we talk and walk really far. So by the time before we knew it was dark, and it was 9:30ish, and so we're sometimes we make bad decisions, and so we decided on this day that why don't we walk by the local haunted house? Everyone has a haunted house in their neighborhood. Everyone does. I don't care what you say. There's always a haunted house somewhere. Ours happens to be a historical haunted house. We live in the South, so it's a big, it was a plantation type thing. And it's close to where I live. And so me and my best friend were walking and just, talking, having fun. And we decided, okay, let's walk by the haunted house. And that's a good idea. It's the middle of the night. It's fine. So, and this haunted house is in a neighborhood. So we start walking down it, talking, smack, whatever, just walking. And, we're both we're both pretty adept to spiritual stuff. So we were like, oh, this could be fun. Let's go see. Ooh. And so we walked by the house, not expecting to really see anything, just to, creep ourselves out a little bit. And so essentially the house there's big shrubs by the house. There's big, shrubs that are taller than probably 7 feet or so. And so you can't really see past them. So they're at the far end of the house. So we're approaching the house, and we're just walking on the sidewalk. We're not doing anything crazy like going in the house or going near the house. And as we start getting closer, we hear a noise in the background. We start hearing a noise coming from the house, like a ch-ch-ch noise. Kind of like somebody's shushing us, or somebody's come over here. It was real weird, just enough so we're what was that? Was that like a neighbor? Was that something going on? And so we're okay, whatever, that's it. We're freaking ourselves out. So we keep walking, and as we get closer to the house, we hear ch-ch-ch. I'm what was that? And
I love my best friend, but she, she was like, dude, we gotta get out. Like, she wasn't having it. She's like, let's go. So we start walking as fast as we can past the house. And as we get closer to the house, and it gets louder and louder. And right by in front of the house, it's the loudest we could hear. So we pretty much sprint past the house. We get past the house, we're by the big shrubs. And we can still hear the faint and we're like, okay. So we're like, okay, it's back there at least. So we finally pass the shrubs. And on the other side of the shrubs, our town has this kind of big area where people walk. Like, it's a big 3-mile walk. And so we're approaching that. And I mean, we live in a small town. It's late night. Nobody's really out. And we see, come around the 3-mile loop area, right after we pass the shrubs, are these two huge guys. Like, dressed all in black, real creepy. And, I mean, my friend, she put up her feelers. She was like, her phone was out. She was ready to call 911. She was like, ready, let's get out. I never think people are going to hurt me. I never do. But like I said, thank God my friend, she's more cautious than I am. So she's calling her boyfriend. She's calling, like, come get us, like, pick us up right now. We're out of here. And so I'm like, it's fine. It's just some random guys in town, whatever. So the guys turn to look at us. But my friend, her feelers went up instantly that there was 2 creepy guys coming. And so she's like, can we go the other way? And I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, we can go the other way. It's fine. So we back up. We start backing up. And the guys start walking towards us. And so my friend's on the phone. She's telling her boyfriend, get here, get your car, get here now. We're in danger. And so she starts backing away. And so I finally start catching up with her. And then the guys are still following us. And so we pass the house again. There's no more sound. There's no ch-ch-ch anymore. And so she starts running at full speed. She's in shape. I was a little chubby at the time. And so I try to keep up with her. We're running. And we look behind. I'm like, the guys can't, they must have stopped. They can't. No, they're running at full speed after us. And so my friend, she's just like, move it. And so we're running as full speed as we can away from these guys. We're long gone past the house. We're I don't know where we go. We didn't stop. She was in front of me and I just kept following after her. And these guys were they were behind us, but thank God we made an escape out of there. And right in the nick of time, her boyfriend's car pulls over. We jump in the car. And so we get out. We do a loop around to see who these guys were. We've never seen them before, never saw them again. It was real weird. Something funky. So after we get done, we kind of, we digested our night, and we're like, that was real weird. That was terrifying. We were like freaked out because these creepy guys are chasing us, right? But then we started thinking about it and talking about it, and we're like, the weird part is right before all this happened, we heard that noise from the haunted house. And up to this point, it's all been, ooh, the house is scary. Ooh, the house is evil. And after learning some of the lore and learning some of the stuff about the house was owned by, a lot of families and, mature Southern women. And it was one of those things where they were, known for being very protective, very, loving women and everything. And so my theory is that these ghost women knew these creepy guys were walking, near the house. And what we kind of came to the conclusion is that these ghost ladies were trying to tell us, go away. They were trying to scare us away from that street. They were trying to send us home. They're like, get out, like, shh, get, like, shoo. And so essentially the ghosts were trying to protect us, but we weren't listening. We were too busy trying to scare ourselves or looking at these spirits like they were malevolent, instead of just listening and trusting what they had to say and heading home. Would have saved us some trouble. Thank God we're okay now. Thank God nothing bad happened to either of us. But it was overall a lesson in, not everything is as it appears, and it's important to listen sometimes.
That was our visit to the Avenel House. On our adventures, we didn't happen to see any actual ghosts, but we did learn a lot. We learned about ghost cats, women whose lives ended too soon, and lots of stories from the past. The Avenel House will always have a very special place in my heart. Am I a little disappointed that I didn't get to see the actual lady in white? Sure. But like I said, she's had my back in the past, so I think we're even. It's a beautiful home, a beautiful house, and a fun place to visit. If you ever find yourself in the heart of Virginia in a small town called Bedford, maybe stop by the Avenel House. Maybe you'll see the woman in white on the porch. Maybe you'll see her ghost cat. All I know is it was a very interesting experience with lots of ups and lots of downs, and we learned a lot.
That was the Avenel House.